Imagine if you could tap into unbreakable focus on command, just like a monk. After centuries of mastering the mind, monks have uncovered the secrets to flow, the state where distractions vanish, time flies, and your focus becomes limitless. Today, I'll share their simplest methods with you. This isn't about hours of meditation or some strict routine. It's about using just a few powerful techniques to trigger deep focus anywhere, anytime. Part 1. Gohan's struggle with distraction. Gohan, like many of us, is eager to focus. His mind brims with ambition, and his goals seem within reach if only he could zero in on them. But every time he sits down to work, distractions take over. His phone buzzes with notifications, his mind drifts to countless unfinished tasks, and thoughts pile up like a mental traffic jam. The more he tries to control his focus, the more it seems to slip away, leaving him feeling defeated and frustrated. One evening, after another unproductive day, Gohan realizes he's in a loop, always pushing for focus but never really reaching it. He knows he needs something deeper, a strategy that doesn't feel like a battle against his own mind. As he looks for answers, Gohan comes across the practices of monks who've spent centuries studying the mind. To his surprise, he learns that monks face the same inner distractions but approach them differently. Instead of trying to force the mind into focus, they guide it gently, allowing it to settle naturally. Monks see focus not as a forced state, but as something cultivated slowly and patiently. The first lesson Gohan learns from them is that patience is key to focus. By not pushing against the mind's natural restlessness, monks create an environment for it to calm on its own. The more you relax and accept that focus can't be forced, the easier it becomes to enter that state. Gohan realizes his frustration and impatience are part of what's holding him back. The monks teach him to let go of forceful attempts, to replace his frustration with acceptance. He starts his journey to focus not by pushing harder, but by allowing his mind to find calm gradually. Patience, he learns, is the first secret to building unbreakable focus. With this new mindset, Gohan takes his first steps toward a calmer mind. But he soon discovers that the next step is learning to quiet the noise within, one thought at a time. Part 2. Quieting the mind. Encouraged by his newfound patience, Gohan becomes more curious about the monks' serene focus. He watches how they move through their day with calm and composure, unaffected by the distractions that would normally throw him off course. Eager to understand their clarity, Gohan seeks guidance, and the monks share with him the concept of mental decluttering. Each morning, before engaging with the world, they begin with a simple practice, acknowledging their thoughts without attachment. Rather than wrestling with or suppressing every worry or distraction, they allow each thought to rise and fade, like clouds passing in a clear sky. This, they explain, creates the space needed for focus to truly take root. The monks tell Gohan that the mind is like a crowded room. When filled with too many voices, it's impossible to concentrate on a single conversation. Through meditation and mental decluttering, they've learned to quiet the noise within, allowing only the thoughts that serve their purpose. Meditation, as they teach him, isn't about banishing thoughts, but about observing them and letting them go. This is how they create a quiet mind that's free from clutter, a fertile ground for deep focus. Gohan begins practicing mental decluttering each morning, starting small. He sits in silence, focusing on his breathing, observing each thought that arises without judgment. Slowly, he notices a difference. His mind feels lighter, less burdened by inner chatter. He realizes that quieting the mind isn't about silencing every thought, but about creating space for focus to flourish naturally. With his mind gradually clearing, Gohan feels a subtle shift, but he knows this is only the beginning. To truly sustain his focus, he must find a rhythm, a structured flow that guides him deeper into concentration. Part 3. Creating rhythm. Eager to understand how the monks maintain their steady focus, Gohan decides to dive deeper into their daily practices. He notices that the monks' days don't seem rigid, yet there's an unmistakable rhythm to their actions. Periods of concentrated effort seamlessly followed by calm pauses. Intrigued, Gohan asks them how they sustain such balance without burning out. The monks introduce him to the concept of rhythmic discipline, an approach that harmonizes work with intentional rest. They explain that the mind functions best when it alternates between focused engagement and moments of relaxation. This routine doesn't look like a strict schedule, rather, it follows the natural flow of energy, ensuring they're fully present in each task. Gohan realizes that his own days are often chaotic, filled with multitasking and unplanned breaks, which leave him scattered and exhausted. The monks share that maintaining focus is about respecting the mind's energy. They've discovered that when they concentrate deeply for a set period and then allow a brief rest, they can re-enter focus more easily. This rhythm aligns with the flow state, where work becomes almost effortless and immersive. By creating these intervals of intentional focus and rest, they optimize their mental energy and avoid burnout. Inspired, Gohan decides to adopt this rhythmic approach. He structures his day into intervals, working deeply for a time, then stepping back to recharge his mind. He soon notices a difference. The distractions fade, his focus sharpens, and his energy lasts longer. Rather than pushing through tasks until exhaustion, he flows from one task to the next with clarity and intent. This rhythm becomes his key to sustaining productivity and entering flow naturally. Now that Gohan has tapped into the power of rhythm, he feels closer to achieving uninterrupted focus. But to reach true mastery, he must learn the monk's technique of single-pointed focus, a skill that will refine his concentration even further. Part 4. Single-pointed focus. Gohan is finally starting to feel the steady rhythm in his daily life, but even so, he notices a lingering challenge. His focus is still fragile. Minor distractions can pull him out of concentration in an instant. He recalls hearing about monks practicing something called single-pointed focus, a technique that helps them give their undivided attention to a single task or thought. Intrigued, he approaches one of the monks to understand this deeper level of concentration. The monk listens, nodding and understanding, and then explains that true focus is about more than resisting outside distractions. It's about taming the mind from within. In their practice, monks often train their minds through a method called Tritaka, where they gaze at a single candle flame for an extended period. It's a simple act, but it's powerful. By focusing on one small point, they strengthen their ability to quiet internal noise and center their thoughts fully on one task. Curious, Gohan decides to try this for himself. He sits in the quiet of the monastery, finding a small object to concentrate on. At first, his mind fights back, and stray thoughts bubble up, pulling his attention away. But each time, he gently brings his focus back, noticing how, with patience, his mind settles. He begins to understand that single-pointed focus isn't about forcing himself to block out every thought. It's about practicing the art of returning to the present moment over and over. The monk's teaching stays with Gohan. Single-pointed focus means dedicating yourself fully to one thing until it's completed, tuning out not only external distractions but also the constant chatter of the mind. He learns that this ability, honed over time, builds mental strength and brings clarity. Back in his routine, Gohan applies this practice in his daily tasks. Whether he's writing, working, or even washing dishes, he immerses himself fully, resisting the urge to jump to the next thing. He notices that his focus sharpens, and he begins entering a state of flow more effortlessly. By learning single-pointed focus, he realizes that even the simplest activities can become profound exercises in concentration. With focus and rhythm as his foundation, Gohan is well on his way to mastering flow. But the monks have one final lesson to share, a technique that anchors his focus, allowing him to enter flow anywhere, anytime. Part 5. The Anchor Technique. Gohan feels his focus sharpening with each day, and his new practices give him confidence. But as he ventures outside the calm, structured environment of the monastery, he encounters a familiar struggle. The unpredictability of the world around him. Random interruptions, unexpected demands, and sudden distractions shake his concentration, threatening to pull him back into the cycle he was once trapped in. Seeking guidance, He returns to the monks and describes his experience. One of the elder monks nods knowingly, understanding Gohan's challenge. The monk shares with him one of their most powerful techniques, one they call the anchor. This technique involves using a small, personal gesture to ground himself in the present moment whenever his mind begins to wander or distractions arise. An anchor, the monk explains, is a gentle reminder, a subtle touch, a breath, or a whispered word that brings you back. The monks tell Gohan that in chaotic situations, they often use anchors to keep their minds centered. A deep breath, a light touch of prayer beads, or the quiet repetition of a mantra can instantly bring them back to their purpose, helping them maintain focus amid any disturbance. Anchors act as mental resets, rooting them in the present moment whenever they feel their minds drifting. Gohan decides to create his own anchor. He chooses something simple yet effective, a quiet, mindful breath paired with a gentle touch of his fingers. Whenever he feels his focus slipping, he practices this anchor, finding that it instantly brings him back to his center. In meetings, crowded spaces, or even moments of stress, he uses his anchor to ground himself, reclaiming his flow and staying calm no matter the situation. He realizes that this simple technique doesn't just keep him present, it helps him flow seamlessly through his day, allowing him to navigate challenges with a calm, focused mind. This anchor becomes his personal tool, a way to recenter himself wherever he goes. With all these techniques, Gohan now holds the keys to entering and sustaining flow. Gohan's journey with the monks reveals that focus isn't just about brute willpower, it's a mindful approach to training the mind. From letting go of forced concentration to embracing rhythmic discipline, practicing single-pointed focus, and using anchors, Gohan has unlocked the secrets to entering flow and staying there. These aren't just techniques, they're practices that anyone can adopt, even in the busyness of daily life. If Gohan's journey inspired you, hit subscribe for more on mastering focus, mindset, and personal growth.